Prime Minister Modi just showed the world how to command a room in his speech about Operation Sindoor.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के लक्ष्यों की प्राप्ति के लिए भारत की पराक्रमी सेनाओं को, सशस्त्र बलों को, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों को, हर भारतवासी की तरफ से सैल्यूट करता हूं।
But what most people missed wasn't his political stance. It was the psychological techniques he used to command absolute attention and trust. These exact same communication strategies can transform any manager from forgettable to unforgettable. And I'm breaking down the 5 techniques you can steal immediately. Hi there, it's Revathi. Modi's recent speech wasn't just sharing news. He was showing what we call executive presence. And it was pretty amazing. This isn't some magic gift. It's skills you can learn. Today, I'm breaking down what Modi did and how you can use these tricks in your next meeting or talk. Here's what was happening. On May 10th, Modi spoke to India after the military strike on terrorist camps. This was a big deal. We are talking about tension between countries with nuclear weapons. Think about it. How would you talk in such a tense situation? Most people would sound scared or try too hard to sound tough. But Modi showed perfect balance. Strong but not angry. Sure of himself but not cocky. And clear without dumbing things down. Executive presence is what makes the difference between okay managers and great leaders. It makes people trust you, listen to you, and follow you. Modi's speech gives us a perfect example to learn from. Technique 1. Emotional bookending. The first technique Modi uses is what I call emotional bookending. See how he starts and ends with feelings. He opens with, "My dear countrymen, Namaskar," warm and friendly right away. He ends with, "Bharat Mata ki Jai" 3 times, stirring up pride. Here's why this works so well. Between these emotional moments, he shares the tough stuff. The emotional start and end make people feel safe enough to hear hard truths. So, how can you use this? In your next big meeting, don't jump straight into data or problems. Begin with a quick connection. Thank your team or remind them why their work matters. Then, end with something uplifting. This creates a frame that makes everything in the middle stick better. It's simple, but it works wonders. Technique 2. Narrative clarity. The second technique is narrative clarity. Most leaders ramble. Modi doesn't. Watch how he tells his story in 3 easy parts. First, what happened? The attack and India's response. Second, why it happened, the reasons behind it. Third, what it means, what happens next. This simple structure does something powerful. It makes hard stuff easy to follow. No matter how messy things are, Modi gives us a clear path to understand it all. What's cool, however, is that Modi never says, "I'll talk about 3 things." He doesn't need to. The structure is so clear that your brain sorts it out on its own. When you're talking about tough stuff, your team needs this kind of clarity. Before any big talk, write down these 3 parts. What happened? Why does it matter? What do we do now? This works for everything from crisis talks to regular updates. Technique 3. Precision language. The third technique is something most leaders get totally wrong. Using vivid details. Average speakers use vague words. Great speakers use details that paint pictures in your mind. Listen to this. When India's missiles and drones attacked terrorist bases in Pakistan, not only the buildings of terrorist organizations, but their courage was also shaken badly. He could have just said, "We attacked the terrorists." Instead, he creates a clear picture. Missiles, drones, buildings, and even their courage being shaken badly. This does 2 things. It builds trust because specific details show that you know your stuff. And it creates mental pictures that stick in a person's mind. Think about how you talk. Do you say, "We need better numbers"? Or do you say, "We need 12% more sales by August"? The difference is huge. When you use vivid details, you don't just share information. You build trust and make your message memorable. Technique 4. Strategic repetition. The 4th technique is strategic repetition. Notice how Modi just doesn't repeat phrases randomly. He creates patterns of three. Terror and talks cannot go together. Terror and trade cannot go together. Water and blood cannot flow together. 3 is a magic number in communication. Our brains are wired to recognize and remember patterns of 3. It's why we have ready, set, go and life, liberty and pursuit of happiness. But here's what makes Modi better than average speakers. He doesn't just repeat the same thing 3 times. He uses the same pattern but changes the words slightly each time. This keeps you listening while drilling in his main point. In your next talk, pick your most important message and say it 3 different ways. Instead of customer service matters, try customers expect quality, customers deserve honesty, customers remember kindness. The impact is much stronger. Technique 5, symbolic imagery. The final technique, and this is the most powerful, is using symbols. Modi doesn't just state facts, he turns ideas into symbols people can feel. The whole speech centers on Sindoor, the red powder married women wear in India. It stands for marriage, protection and good fortune. By naming the military action Operation Sindoor, he turns a military strike into a symbol of protecting the nation's women. He drives this home by saying the terrorists had wiped out the Sindoor of our sisters and India responded by destroying their terrorist headquarters. This symbol does something amazing. It connects head decisions to heart feelings. The best leaders don't just use logic, they link facts to feelings through using symbols. For your talks, ask yourself, what symbol can show the change we want? Is cutting costs trimming the fat or sharpening our focus? Is adding team members growing a family or building our arsenal? The symbols you pick create very different feelings. So let's bring all this together. Modi demonstrated executive presence through 1. Emotional bookending, creating safe entry and exit points. 2. Narrative clarity, a clear 3-part structure. 3. Precision language, specific details that build creativity. 4. Strategic repetition, patterns of 3 with parallel structure. And 5. Symbolic imagery, connecting policy to emotional symbols. These aren't just techniques for national addresses. I've seen managers transform their effectiveness by applying even 1 or 2 of these approaches. The person who gets promoted isn't always the hardest worker, unfortunately. It's often the person who can communicate with executive presence. The team that succeeds isn't always the most talented. It's the one with a leader who can clearly articulate why the vision matters. Modi's speech wasn't just about world events. It was a lesson to how leaders talk when the stakes are high, when the world is listening. Whether you lead 5 people or 5,000, these tricks can change how people see you and respond to you. Remember, executive presence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, one speaking trick at a time. The difference between being heard and being followed isn't what you say, it's how you say it. Which technique will you try first? Let me know in the comments.